Listen to the silence, close your eyes. Listen to the vibrating, suffocating silence that falls over an arena right before a blockbuster fight. We are in Stuttgart, Germany, the prestigious Porsche Tennis Grand Prix. But make no mistake, the atmosphere inside this stadium right now does not feel like a normal tennis match. It feels like a heavyweight championship fight in Las Vegas. The lights are dimmed, the air is thick with violent anticipation. You can smell the freshly swept red clay, a scent that signals to every true tennis fan that we have officially entered the most grueling, punishing, and beautiful phase of the calendar. This is not just a regular stop on the WTA Tour. This is a gauntlet. You look at the entry list, and it is an absolute murderer's row of tennis royalty. Iga Swiatek is prowling the grounds looking invincible. Coco Gauff is here with a vengeance. Elena Rybakina brings her earth-shattering power. And Jelena Ostapenko is ready to blast opponents straight through the back fence. It is a field so incredibly stacked that an opening round match feels like a Grand Slam semi-final. But right now, under the blinding glare of the center court lights, the entire tennis world is completely zeroed in on one specific, terrifying matchup. The locker room is whispering. The fans are completely on the edge of their seats. It is a violent collision of youth and experience. It is raw, surging, unstoppable momentum going head-to-head with battle-tested blood and guts grit. In one corner, you have the absolute phenom, the fast-rising, cold-blooded assassin, Alex EALA. In the other corner, you have the Canadian warrior, the 2021 US Open finalist, who knows exactly what it takes to slay giants on the biggest stages in the world, Leylah Fernandez. If you consider yourself a fan of high IQ tennis, of tactical baseline warfare, of left-handed shot making that literally bends the laws of physics and completely defies geometry, you need to cancel your plans, lock your doors, grab your popcorn, because you are not going to want to miss a single millisecond of this absolute classic. This is not just a match. This is a masterclass waiting to happen. To truly understand the massive stakes of this encounter, we have to start by analyzing the battleground itself. This is not your typical grinding, windblown, outdoor European clay. This is Stuttgart. This is indoor red clay. It is a completely unique, incredibly rare beast on the professional tour, and it completely rewrites the rules of engagement. When you play in Rome or Paris, you fight the elements, swirling winds, blinding sun, heavy humidity, but here inside this arena, the elements are entirely eliminated. The climate is perfectly controlled. The slickness of this specific red dirt combined with the pristine indoor conditions creates a surface that plays significantly faster, lower, and more aggressively than any other clay court on the planet. It is pure, unadulterated precision tennis. It rewards absolute ball strikers. It rewards players who take the ball on the rise and hit straight through the court. And that specific environment gives us our very first major, game-changing dynamic. Alex EALA carries a distinct, tangible, massive advantage right out of the gate. While Leylah Fernandez was grinding on the green clay of North America, EALA was already boots on the ground in Europe. She was already lacing up her clay court shoes. She was sliding around on the indoor dirt of Linz last week. She has already calibrated her footwork. She knows exactly how the ball bites, how it grips, and how it kicks off this specific indoor surface. She has the physical reps. She has the muscle memory. Fernandez is stepping onto the European indoor clay for the very first time this entire season. In a sport decided by fractions of a second and millimeters of positioning, that acclimatization period is an absolute mountain to climb. But listen to me very carefully. Do not ever, under any circumstances, count Leylah Fernandez out on the dirt. She is an absolute, unquestionable clay court dog. She loves the dirt. She understands the geometry of the clay better than almost anyone in her generation. While Alex EALA prefers to stand tall, plant her feet, and hit incredibly heavy flat balls, Fernandez views the clay court as her own personal canvas. She knows exactly how to use the dirt to her supreme advantage. Her ability to slide perfectly into her shots, to defend the extreme corners, to absorb massive pace and brilliantly redirect it down the line is world class. She knows how to dig deep. She knows how to get her uniform dirty, and more importantly, she knows how to make her opponents physically suffer. She will force you to play one extra ball, then another, until your legs feel like lead and your lungs are absolutely burning. Let us break down the absolute phenom that is Alex EALA. Still just 20 years old, she is without a shadow of a doubt one of the most terrifying, lethal players on the women's tour right now. She played a sunshine double over in the United States that left the entire tennis world completely speechless. Picture the scene at Indian Wells. She steps onto the stadium court and absolutely shocks the world by taking down the reigning US Open champion Coco Gauff, taking out the golden girl of American tennis on an American hard court in front of a roaring American crowd takes serious, undeniable firepower and ice-cold nerves. She stood toe-to-toe with one of the greatest athletes in the sport and hit her straight off the court, and she did not stop there. She marched into Miami and dismantled tour veterans, sending players to the locker room wondering what just hit them. Her form is electric. Her confidence is absolutely through the roof of the stadium. She is stepping onto the court right now, knowing she can trade heavy blows with the absolute elite top 5 players in the world. But there is a ghost in the machine. There is a dark psychological demon that Alex EALA is still desperately trying to exorcise from her game. We saw it rear its incredibly ugly head just last week in Linz against Jelena Ostapenko. EALA was putting on a clinic. She was up a double break, leading 5-1 in the second set, serving for the match. And then the absolute unthinkable happened. The wheels did not just fall off the wagon completely exploded. EALA froze, her footwork stopped, her arm got tight. Ostapenko smelled the fear, started swinging freely, and EALA lost 6 consecutive games to lose the set and ultimately the match. A total unmitigated mental collapse. And here is the terrifying part for EALA and her coaching team. This is not a one-time fluke. She has developed a highly dangerous, heart-stopping habit of going on these catastrophic losing streaks within matches. When the pressure mounts, when the scoreboard gets tight, EALA sometimes completely loses her footing and forgets how to win. Against a relentless, never-say-die absolute street fighter like Leylah Fernandez, dropping your focus for even 5 minutes is an absolute death sentence. Fernandez will smell the blood in the water, and she will absolutely bury you. Now let us turn our absolute attention to the Canadian Warrior. We all remember the pure magic of 2021, the roaring crowds inside Arthur Ashe Stadium, the giant-slaying run to the US Open final, the fearless teenager who took the entire sport by storm. But professional tennis is a brutal, unforgiving business. Since that magical run in New York, it has been an absolute roller coaster journey. She has dealt with nagging injuries. She has dealt with the suffocating, crushing pressure of immense global expectations. She has had to completely reinvent her game. Coming into Stuttgart tonight, Leylah's form is a massive question mark. She has not had the blistering start to the year that EALA has enjoyed. She is searching for her rhythm. She is looking for her timing. She is hungry, maybe even desperate for a deep statement-making run to ignite her season and remind the locker room exactly who she is. And a high-profile, primetime matchup against a hyped, surging youngster like EALA on a massive stage in Stuttgart might be exactly the violent spark the Canadian needs to catch fire. When we look at the tactical matchup, the absolute most fascinating element of this entire war is the lefty dynamic. They are both left-handed. On the professional tour, lefties are incredibly spoiled. They build their entire careers on exploiting right-handed players. Sliding slice serves out wide, hitting heavy topspin forehands up into weak backhands. But when two lefties step onto the court against each other, the mirror violently shatters. The illusion breaks. All those geographical advantages completely cancel out. It is like two southpaw boxers stepping into the ring. It becomes awkward. It becomes a pure, unadulterated test of shot tolerance, heavy hitting, and mental toughness. Both refuse to give up real estate. Both step inside the baseline and take the ball impossibly early. It is going to be fast. It is going to be furious. It is going to be relentlessly aggressive. Let us talk about the serve and the return. This is the exact battleground where this match will ultimately be won or lost. Serving is the undeniable Achilles heel of Alex EALA's game right now. It is her biggest glaring weakness. When the match gets tight under immense scoreboard pressure, her serve becomes a massive liability. Leylah Fernandez is not hitting 120-mile-per-hour bombs either, but technically, fundamentally, she is by far the better server of the two. She hits her spots with absolute surgical precision. She plays absolute chess with her serve. But here is the massive counterpunch where EALA loses serious ground on the serve. She makes up for it entirely with an absolutely lethal, world-class return game. Alex EALA is a spectacular, terrifying returner of serve. She has lightning-fast reflexes that belong in a different sport. If a ball sits up in her strike zone, she does not just return it. She attempts to violently destroy the felt on the ball. If Fernandez drops below 60% on her first serve, EALA is going to step completely inside the baseline and rip those second serves right past Leylah's ankles before she even finishes her service motion. Then we come to movement, the dance of the tennis court. If this match were on a hard court, I would lean towards Leylah's explosive first step, but we are on the dirt. And on clay, movement is a completely different art form. It is about balance. It is about understanding the slide. In this specific department, the pendulum violently swings back to Leylah Fernandez. Her defensive capabilities on a clay court are vastly superior. Leylah can be stretched completely out wide, sliding in a full split, and still flick her wrist to hook a heavy passing shot right down the line. She possesses natural, ingrained clay court instincts in her very DNA. There is also a beautiful, fascinating layer of deep mutual respect hovering over this matchup. These two incredible athletes have never played each other in a professional match, a maiden voyage. Neither player has actually felt the absolute weight of the other's ball on their racket strings, but the connection is massive. EALA looks across the net at Fernandez and sees the exact kind of Grand Slam breakthrough that she herself is desperately chasing every single day in practice. So what exactly happens when the surging student meets the established warrior she admires? What happens when a rapidly rising, dangerous youngster with absolutely everything to gain steps onto the slippery clay against a proven Grand Slam finalist, completely desperate to reclaim her spot at the top? Does EALA's recent momentum and crucial familiarity with the indoor clay carry her through the storm? Can she completely avoid those disastrous match-ending mental blackouts? Or does Leylah Fernandez simply dig her heels deep into the dirt, use her unmatched grit, and drag EALA into the deep dark waters of a brutal 3-set war of attrition? This is not just a tennis match, ladies and gentlemen. This is a high-speed chess game played at 100 miles an hour. It is brutal, unforgiving, baseline trench warfare. We have a completely packed, sold-out arena. The slick indoor red clay is perfectly groomed. Two of the most exciting, fiercely aggressive shot makers in the entire women's game are walking out of the tunnel right now, ready to lay absolutely everything on the line. The players are at the net, the coin is tossed, strap yourselves in, turn the volume all the way up, get to the absolute edge of your seat, and whatever you do, do not blink, because EALA versus Leylah Fernandez is about to set the Stuttgart clay completely on fire. Let the battle begin.